What's good, my people? This is the White Shadow Norway, and what you see over here is a box of records. And all these records are records that I've been featured on. I've either produced, made the beats, or done cuts on them, or both. It's my own albums and other artists' albums and 12-inch singles. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pull a record. It's not a random one. I'll get back to that in a minute. I'm going to just pull a record from here and bring it over to the table and talk about it. So, enjoy. And here it is. This record right here, the White Shadow Norway presents Back to the True School, is actually 20 years old right about now. I don't have the exact release date because I shipped them out as they came in to Arise distributors and hip-hop record stores and others around the world. But it was released in 2003 now. It's 2023, so that means 20-year anniversary. Yes, sirree. It doesn't seem that long. That's the first thing I'm going to say. I remember when this showed up, I had it pressed myself at Audio Disc Pressing Plant in Sweden. Excellent vinyl pressing plant. I had to make sure that this was great for scratching and stuff, so I had to get the best possible pressing on it. I'll get back to that in a minute, the reasons why too. But anyway, it came out in 2003, yes, and I remember that day. It was a hot summer day, and I woke up to boxes on my door delivered by the friendly postman, the friendly mailman in English it is, yes. Delivered on my doorstep, and yeah, that was a happy day. I already gotten a test pressing before that. It looks like this. It's just plain white label, no letters on it or anything, but it's clear vinyl. I'm gonna see if I can pull it out now. I can't do that with one hand, but it's clear, transparent vinyl. Compared to the official pressing, which is a black one, of course, with some artwork and stuff. Now, this drawing here, it portrays me, actually. It kind of looks like me with a little longer beard and stuff like that. It was drawn by one of my best friends in life, Helge Jobb Bergstad. He drew that character there, and then another of my best friends, Arne Kaupang, did a design and hooked it all up with the letters and yeah, the overall design of the labels on this record. I had no picture cover on this because this was a 12-inch single, and being that I paid for it myself and the whole thing, including postage and everything, cost me about 3,000 bucks. I pressed 500 copies of it, and I have a very few left that I'm selling on Discogs. They're rare nowadays, so they're at 50 euros, but you know, I'll sign all of them personally. So if you're interested in that, just follow the link down there and hit me up on Discogs, and you know, I'll sign it for you with a personal greeting and everything like that. Anyway, going back into time, man, it was a great day when I finally got this. The A side here, it's got 4 banging hip-hop tracks. I'm gonna just read the credits right here. On the top there it says UC 12-inch 001, PNC 2003 Uncut Productions. That's my record label and all rights reserved. And then you got the White Shadow Norway presents Back to the True School. All beats, production, scratches by the White Shadow Norway. That's me for Uncut Productions 2003. Now there's a website info here, and that website no longer exists. It was my first website actually, but it's long gone now. Side 8, yeah, pressed it on 33. Try to get it as close to a US pressing as possible, and it is among the best of those, even though it was pressed in Sweden. Going into the tracks here, the first one, it's like a kind of a club banger in a way, but it's still underground hip-hop, Plans to Blow, featuring Grand Agent. It also had additional vocals by DJ STQ, Mike Purb, who's me. That's one of my MC alter egos back then. Militant Mind State, that's a hip-hop crew from Philly right there. Big Jim Slade from Philly, and of course my man Melee Sparks. Rob Bamsafar from Philly, but he lives in Scandinavia. This came together at a studio in Sweden I'd already produced and done scratches on the 12-inch single Leisure and 3MCs for my man Melee Sparks and Grand Agent. Um, that came out on B9000 Records, a Belgian, a hip hop label in Belgium, and was distributed by Groove Attack, which was like the biggest the biggest European hip hop distributor back then in Germany. So we'd already done those tracks, like sending CDs back and forth, because the internet, it wasn't fast enough yet to send big files, so you had to send CDs. So we did that kind of like over the mail, that Leisure track and the 3MCs. I did the scratches and I shipped them back to mix and everything. So that came out, and after that we're going to do a show in Sweden that my man DJ STQ, that you can see in the credits here. What up, what up, what up? Christopher Gottner, what's up? At a jam, he used to do shows in Sweden. So I went over there and I DJ'd and I got to meet Melee Sparks and Grand Agent. We actually lived in the same room too, just hanging out, chilling, man. Became friends right there, and the day after, part of the deal was going to the studio. So that's what we did. We went to the studio and we knocked out this song, Plans to Blow. STQ was actually going to start a label and release it on that label. But a lot of things changed on the hip hop scene and in life and otherwise around that time. So he started getting more into house music. He started DJing a lot more. So the label never started. So, I asked if I could use it on my album and this EP, and that was cool. And yes, that's the opening banger on this one, Plans to Blow. And it's a banger too. Next track, Check, featuring d-stroy and Great Scott. This was recorded in Oslo at my man Navid the Incredibles studio. We had booked d-stroy and Great Scott of the Arsonists for shows out there, and we recorded a couple of songs. Rollout was one that was recorded again in New York, and it became d-stroy from the Arsonists' first solo 12-inch single on Matador Records that I produced and did scratches on too. So this was like the other song there. It's got a lengthy scratch solo at the end by me as well there. Really, really dope. Took me some time to perfect that one, but and it's also really great for beat juggling. That track, I made sure that, it's got the right sounds and beat patterns to be perfect to beat juggle with that check there. And to press it as the second song on the EP, so that, because the needles would skip it was easier for the needles to skip on the outer grooves than, a little bit into the vinyl. But if you press a song too close to the center, then, when you beat juggle and scratch heavy, you might knock the needles and the pickups off. So I wanted that as track 2 for that reason. Third song here, Extra Thug Sauce. I was hanging out in the chat room. There were like several hip hop chat rooms back then. Chat rooms are big online, and all of a sudden, an MC and producer from Denmark, this was a Norwegian chat room, and an MC and a producer from Denmark suddenly just came into the chat room, and I started talking with him, and his name was Fred Nukes. He was doing hip hop records. He got affiliated with DJ Typhoon and all the best cats in Denmark after a while. So we hooked up. We did some songs together. Actually, one is unreleased, featuring some of the best MCs in Denmark, but maybe that will drop someday. That's actually the only unreleased song now that was originally on my debut album, but I'll talk about that one later. So, we started talking, and Fred Nukes, he knew some American MCs as well. He knew Self-Titled. So I got in touch with Self-Titled through Fred Nukes, and we started talking, and, I asked him if he wanted to kick a verse for my EP that I was going to drop, and he did. And not only that, but he was kind enough to hook up cats from his crew too, the Demigods affiliates too. Guttermouth, aka Mr. X from Mr. X and Mr. C. They had a couple of hits way back in the 80s, like Drink Old Gold. That was like a spoof version of Eric B. and Rakim's I Know You Got Soul. And they had another 12-inch too that was dope back in the mid to late 80s. And of course, Magic Most from the Demigods crew as well. It says there, vocals produced and mixed by Self-Titled at the Chrome Depot. That's right, Self-Titled. He wanted to mix all the vocals, so he did that. Sent me the mixed a cappella, and I mixed the track, at my studio at home. And that became Extra Thug Sauce, probably the most well-known track on this EP right here. And it was also featured on Self-Titled's quadruple CD compilation, The Catalog, a collection of chaos that had all the tracks he was featured on from other people's records. That was one of the top sellers on undergroundhiphop.com as well. When they were the biggest hip hop store online, it was either top 5 or top 10. I don't remember exactly, but it was the best-selling CD for a long time at undergroundhiphop.com, that catalog CD from Self-Titled. I think this was the first song. When I finished it up, I was really like, yeah, man, now I got it. Now I've done, exactly the kind of hip-hop that I want to make, because it has like some real eerie horror movie type samples and everything, and just hard boom bap on the drums and everything. So and the lyrics were really, really rough and hardcore and raw on this. Of course, man, it's Self-Titled and fam, you know what I mean? So yeah, I was really, really happy when I finished this one up, man. I was jumping up and down in my living room. There's probably still marks from my fists on the ceiling there. Talking about samples, by the way, Plans to Blow, I didn't really sample anything. I just chopped up a lot of, little sounds from various records and put them together and just, played them out on the keyboard and just laced them like that. So it's just chopped sounds. It's not really samples at all on Plans to Blow. It's also got a scratch solo at the end there, as does Check. Check, that's the first beat I did that had that epic orchestral style in it. And I sampled from some old classical music, but it was used for the TV series called Cosmos with Carl Sagan. So it's from that soundtrack there, Cosmos with Carl Sagan. No, I'm not going to sample snitch all my samples. And the next one, I won't tell you where it's from, but it was from a French soundtrack. That's all I can say. That's all I want to say. Not on Graffiti, talking about the last track here, the samples there. It really had no samples either. I just chopped up little sounds. I went through a whole album, and that's got a lot of small sounds like that. It's like an old Moog album called The In Sound from Way Out. I think it's from Perry Kingsley. The in sound from Way Out. And it probably took me days, man, just going through that whole album and finding the best little sounds, and then I put them together to make a tight hip-hop boom bap groove out of it. So that's what I did from Nut and Graffiti, which is like the triple X type joint on this, on the sex tip, of course, Nut and Graffiti. Featuring Strange Brew, they were fairly unknown, but I bought their debut album, The First Round, on Sandbox Automatic. That was like one of the biggest hip-hop stores online back then. And Strange Brew, they were from Milwaukee, and it was my man JB, what up, man? And Aaron Wade, what's up? And they had a radio show in Milwaukee, like the biggest hip-hop radio show, college radio out there. Called Late Night Hype Show, a legendary show from back in the late 90s, early 2Ks, around that time. We recorded this track too in 2002, and that was the first track, because some of the albums, some of the 12-inch singles in underground hip-hop had phone numbers and email addresses printed on them. Strange Brew's album had the email address, so I liked their album, The First Round. I really loved it, thought it was real dope. So, I just hit him up with an email and asked if they wanted to be featured on my debut EP. I did that with a lot of people, man. Probably everyone in the underground, pretty much. And some people hit me back, and more of them were featured on the next albums. When I started doing albums, I'm gonna talk about those later. But Strange Brew were that's the first crew that that hit me back with a yes. They wanted to do it, and they checked out Rollout by d-stroy and Leisure by Melee Sparks and the early stuff that I did, and they liked it. They played it on the radio show, so they wanted to hook up and do a song. And It became a really dope banger on the Triple X Sex Tip, Nut and Graffiti, to finish off this side of the vinyl, side A right here. So to me back then, man, this was just perfect. I'd finally made the perfect EP. So what to do to make it even better than what's on the A side here, because it's like 4 hardcore hip-hop bangers on there. But if I flip it over, I decided to make it even better. I was going to do like a break record, a battle tool for DJs to cut and scratch and beat juggle with and stuff like that. That became Retarded Lunatic Breaks. It's 12 minutes and 35 seconds of sounds and beat patterns and stuff to beat juggle with and sounds. It starts with a long tone. Then on the second cut is the same tone with a bass, and on the third one I added another tone on top of that, so you could, like, you know, play songs with the pitch controls and manipulate the platter and everything there, and build it from like just a thin sound to bass on top to another sound to make it fuller. Then I have like 4 drum breaks after that to beat juggle with. Then I have there's one track with like smaller, you know, just kicks and hi-hats and snares and sound effects in between to juggle with in more advanced ways. And then there's a few tracks with sounds for samples for scratching. All the classic sounds and a little more on that one. So, you know, then I made the perfect battle tool for DJs as well, and I'll probably only use this one for scratching or you know, just practicing beat juggling and scratching after, because it's perfect for that, and the pressing is top notch as well, so it hardly ever skips. But anyway, it pretty much has the same info here on the B side, Retarded Lunatic Breaks. Then I got a thanks list right down here. Special thanks to Creator Family, AK Design. That's my man Arne Kaupang who designed this. Helge Ronny Bergstad, or Helge Rio Bergstad, who's my best friend, who drew the character. Tripman, that's another one of my best friends, and Celine also. Alice Denmark, they were involved in some of the recording of the Plans to Blow, and they made a Sparks Grand Agent feature tracks there. Stripe Audio, they mastered this record. Stripe Audio in Oslo, known as the best mastering studio in Norway. Still is. Audio Disc, of course, the pressing plant. My man d-stroy from Sweden. My man Fred News from Denmark. Uncle Paulie, my man from Oslo, Norway, because Paulie was the guy who hooked me up with d-stroy in the first place. So I figured it only right to thank my man Big Paulie. Big ups Uncle Paulie on this. Plus, of course, all MCs and artists. Yeah, I sampled from a million records on the battle tool there, but just really small parts, so it should be under the license of fair use, probably. Anyway, I'm the White Shot of Norway, and this has been like a flashback review. Of course, I'm not gonna roll the dice on my own records, and of course, you know, to me they're perfect. You know, maybe not all of my songs on all of my albums, but at least this one was perfect to me when it dropped back in 2003, making it a 20-year anniversary. Hope y'all have a great Saturday out there, and a happy weekend and all that. And if you need this record, like I said, check it out on Discogs. I'm selling it there. Brand new copies. I have just a few left, or very few left, so it is expensive at 50 euros. But, you know, I'll sign it for you with a personal message if you want me to and everything. So hit me up on Discogs, link below, if you need this record. Still, because you can still get it. You can still get it, but one day soon, there's not many leftovers. One day soon, it's gonna be gone, baby, gone. And of course, I'm holding on to a big stack for scratching and cutting purposes, and because it's my very first solo vinyl record. I'm the White Shot of Norway, and I've been talking about my debut EP that's 20 years old this year. Back to the true school today. Hope y'all have a good one, yo. Peace.